Now, we need to stop the video, pause it, and write down these steps to solve problems because we're going to be using these for all of our word problems. First of all, and most important, you got to read the problem. While you're reading, you're going to underline any information that they give you, and you're going to circle what you're trying to find. That gives your eyes somewhere to fall, so you don't have to reread the whole problem all the time. You're going to pick out your conversion factors. You're going to set up your problem using a proportion, usually. You're going to check to see if your units cancel. You're going to do the math. And you're going to report your answer with correct units. Remember, a number doesn't mean anything unless it has a unit. So write these steps down. Now let's look at some example problems. Find the number of atoms in 0.500 moles of aluminum. So that's basically half a mole of aluminum. So we're going to circle and underline what we're supposed to. Here we go. So 0.500 moles of aluminum. We're trying to find the number of atoms of aluminum. So our conversion factor is this. We know that 1 mole of anything is 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. So in this case, 1 mole of aluminum is 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms of aluminum. So we're going to set this up as a proportion. All right, so as a proportion, if we take our conversion factor and set it up as a fraction, notice we have 1 mole on top, we have our atoms on the bottom. So when we put our given here, our 0.5 moles, we need to make sure we put that number on the top. So 1 mole of aluminum is to 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms, as 0.5 moles of aluminum is to x. Okay, so we're going to be solving for x here. So to solve a proportion, remember that you cross multiply. So 1 times x equals 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd times 0.5. And be careful how you put this in your calculator. Make sure you're using the exponent key. It's labeled EE on your calculator. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in class tomorrow. Here's our next example problem. We're going to find the number of moles of sulfur that are in 1.8 times 10 to the 24 sulfur atoms. So we want to underline our given, which is our amount of sulfur atoms, and we're looking for moles of sulfur here. And it is important to know that this is moles of sulfur, because when we get to stoichiometry, that'll change a little bit. So our conversion factor is 1 mole of sulfur is 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms of sulfur. So if we set that up as a proportion, again we have 1 mole of sulfur on top, 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms of sulfur on the bottom. Now in this case, because we know we have 1.8 times 10 to the 24 sulfur atoms, we want to put that on the bottom, and we want to put an X on the top because moles is what we're looking for. Okay, so there's our problem, our given on the bottom. There's x on the top. So when we cross multiply, we do 1 times 1.8 times 10 to the 24 is equal to 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd times x. And then you solve for x. So your answer should be 3.0 moles of sulfur is equal to 1.8 times 10 to the 24 atoms of sulfur.